we then have to ask ourselves why we test, how we test, when we test, and what do we do with the test result. Now, if we are not clear with our answers to these 4 questions, then exams will always be stressful. Let me start with why we test. If we see a test or an assessment as an opportunity for us to know ourselves better, to know our children better, where they stand, where they are strong at, where they are weak at, then this self-assessment should not be stressful. It is about surpassing ourselves rather than surpassing other people. So the first point I want to make is this. If we truly want our exam to be less stressful, we need to reorientate our perspective to why we test. And from MOE's perspective, we want all our assessments to be a feedback to our students and our parents on how their respective child is doing. It is how the respective child is doing vis-a-vis his previous self or her previous self, and not how he or she is doing with vis-a-vis other students. We want to do away with this incessant comparison on a relative scale to truly appreciate what the child is strong in and what the child may be weak at, and we need to help the child. Now, the second is how we test. I think many members have spoken and we agree. Going forward, tests will be less and less to do with rote memory work. Instead, going forward, it will be about how our children can apply the concepts they have learned to solve tomorrow's problem. The new skill set that is required is how we make sense of the plethora of information sources and combine them and create new solutions in context. So that is how we test. Now, whether that is more or less stressful, it depends on our perspective again. Then the third question is, when we test, if we test too early as a national exam, as many members have said, then it might be detrimental to some of the late bloomers, it might be detrimental to some of our younger children. But on the other hand, if we test too late, we will be unable to apply the interventions necessary to help our children to progress at a pace that's suitable to them. So somewhere in between testing too early and testing too late, we need to find the Goldilocks point that is just right. And we'll continue to study this. And I must qualify. Given the diversity of our learners, it's very hard to say that there is just one point for everyone. But the assurance that we want to give to everyone is this: that one point doesn't and will not define a person's future forever. We have a process of what SM Taman called continuous meritocracy, where it is about continuous assessment performance that determines one's achievement in life, and not just on a single point and a single assessment. And that should not be our attitude. Otherwise, we instill fear in our students. Then the final question is, what do we do with the test results? If our attitude and answer to the first question of why we test is, this is a self-assessment to find out the strengths and weaknesses of our students so that we can best apply the resources to help them fulfill their potential, then what we do with the test result, the definition of success for that is that we apply the correct resources, apply the correct pathways to the students that require the necessary help. So having said this, I am under no illusion that exams will have some stress. And I must also qualify that it is not our aim to remove all stress from our children. It is not possible, and that should not be our aim. Our aim is to make sure that we stretch our students appropriately, not too much, not too little.